Okay, welcome to our chef's kitchen again. Now today, I have here Christopher, all the way from Norway. He's going to teach us a very healthy dish, right?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's healthy, but it's something easy that can be done. It's something as just having graduated myself, when you move out of your parents' house and the fridge doesn't magically refill itself, restock.
Yes.
And you have to learn how to cook yourself. This is sort of one of the go-to dishes that have been very convenient and that you can just play around with, and that I find is very easy to do on the go, especially now when people have been working from home and you just have to prepare lunch quite quickly.
Yes.
It's good to just have the essentials of a good meal at your fingertips, ready to go.
Okay, great. And especially everyone says ever since the pandemic, you want to eat more healthily as well. You can see there's a lot of vegetables here, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, okay. So this is a vegetarian pasta.
Yes.
Right? So maybe you can just tell us what are the ingredients?
So the ingredients you can kind of play around with, but obviously you have your base, which is the pasta, and it can be any type. Here we have the shell type. You can do spaghetti, you can do penne. I'm not an Italian chef or anything, but it's just you can play around with the bases, you know?
Whichever you like.
Exactly. So then we also have some plant-based imposed meat. This is soybean product based. Some people feel that a meal is not a meal unless you have meat in it. And it's something that I grew up thinking.
Yeah.
So when I sort of started to study, so I first studied in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And there, when I went to the shop, all the chickens came in pieces of 4 in one package, so for a family. So it was very hard to sort of cook for one person when you have to bulk buy the ingredients. And meat's also very expensive, so living on a student budget at the time, I found that it was easier to substitute it. And that sort of helped break that almost like a taboo of having a meal and not necessarily including meat in it. Learning to sort of get creative.
Yeah, okay, great.
So let me just start cutting some stuff while we
so
this is
here. We have garlics.
We have the whole bulb.
The whole bulb of it.
So I need to get a clove out.
How much of the garlic do we need to have?
This is personal preference, especially in Asia. Garlic is the base. It's the base of all the ingredients here.
Yeah.
Because we have garlic, we have onion, we have some lemon juice we can add later. We have parsley that sort of really helps give a lot of flavor. And we have oregano, which is basically what makes things taste Italian. And then some cooking oil later, salt, pepper, parmesan, carrots, courgette or zucchini as we like to call it, and then cherry tomatoes.
Okay.
So
So we'll first cut out the garlic.
Yes.
And you mentioned that this is like your go-to dish.
Pretty much, yeah. In different variations, so you can vary it. You can have it with meat. You can make a bolognese. So basically, it's the base of a bolognese, but without the bolognese meat.
Ah, okay.
But you can do that as well if you're feeling fancy and you want to up your sort of protein intake with other meats.
Yeah, and I'm surprised because you do cook quite a lot, right?
Yeah, I try to, especially now that we're sort of stuck at home and
stuck at home.
Pretty much. You can start to go out again, but I've sort of picked up this habit a lot because it's a lot cheaper to make food at home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so to get all the flavors out of the garlic, you need to make sure you press it with a knife. Yeah. Otherwise, you let a lot of it go to waste. Okay,
all right. Good. So, you say that this is like you cook a lot, and because it's like for a guy to really cook a lot, it's like, do you really like cooking, or is it because you're studying overseas, you're staying by yourself, and that's the cheapest way to get food?
Definitely. Well, no, it's a mixture of reasons. I mean, in primary school in Norway, you learn to cook.
Primary school?
Yeah.
Wow.
So in 6th grade, you learn to cook, and so we have something called kind of a subject called knowledge of the home, heimkunnskap, it's called. Yeah. And there you basically learn how to knit, sew, how to make basic dishes.
how to be a homemaker.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, this is very interesting to know that, because I mean, especially if you are from like Singapore, you're from Asia, to be in primary school and learning how to make how to be a homemaker, learning how to cook, to sew. Wow, that is quite a big feat. Because I remember when I was studying, only when secondary school do we start learning how to cook, and only girls learn how to cook, and the boys.
That's a shame.
Yeah, and
everyone should know how to cook.
Yeah, that was like our own culture. But now it has changed. So nowadays, the girls and boys, they can choose. If you want to learn to cook, you choose it. If you want to learn how to build a cupboard, you can choose that. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's interesting, because both of those subjects we had, and they were both obligatory for us.
Yeah, it's compulsory.
So I learned how to make I had to make a knife when I was younger.
Make a knife?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
survival skills. Seriously.
Yeah, definitely. And then be more practical, and then also learn how to do things. Because when you get hungry pretty quickly if you don't know how to cook and you move out of your parents' place, and you don't have too much money. So it's something that's very essential.
Oh, I remember you were mentioning something about cutting the onions without tearing.
Oh yeah, so if you want to cut the onions without crying too much, there's a few tricks you can.
Okay.
You can put olive oil on the blade, and then as you cut it, some of the particles won't go into your eye, so you won't start getting that reaction.
Okay.
So that'll sort of help you from having an emotional breakdown as you cut.
Yeah.
But luckily I only
did sad for the onions.
Definitely, but luckily we only did a small portion today, so.
Okay. Yep. And so we have onions. We just need a quarter of a big onion.
Yeah, you don't need too much. We're making sort of for 2 people. You can always add more depending on what you like. Onion gives a lot of sweetness. And a lot of the flavor is in the onion and the garlic, which you'll start frying. Okay. Which I guess we're about to do.
Yes.
We're ready?
Yeah, okay. So we have to set the pan.
Yes.
Fire. Okay.
Go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to make sure you get most of the flavor out. So you start by sort of getting the oil in the pan, swirling it around, letting it warm up a little bit.
Using the hand?
Some people do.
Yeah.
Some people do, but I think you can feel the heat a bit, so.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay, it's starting to feel about ready now. Then you can put, didn't cut too much garlic, so hopefully this will be enough. You can try always putting one. Oh no, not enough sizzle. Gotta wait for that sizzle.
So you will know that the oil is hot enough when it starts to sizzle.
Yes. So you see now it sort of starts bubbling a little bit around it. Then that's when you know the oil is hot enough. Because if you throw in the garlic too early, you'll burn it. And then it won't taste any nice. Okay,
it will be burnt garlic.
Yeah. Okay, now that's getting hot enough. We throw the other stuff in.
Yep.
Let's take my spatula, get that. Yeah. You can hear it sizzling slightly. Okay. And that really helps give the oil a lot of flavor, which is important for when we fry all the vegetables later. Because with food, especially with vegetables is a lot of fiber. So you want to make sure that the fiber has flavor, so to say.
Yep.
And you do that by sort of adding different spices, but also getting the base right. And the base is basically the oil. You can also add chilies in here if you want to get some chili oil. So then you can cut up a green chili, maybe remove the seeds if you want to get rid of some of the heatiness.
Yeah.
If you make it more sort of palatable towards sort of Asian flavors.
Yeah, some spices, spiciness in it.
Definitely. Yeah, because I think in Norway we have a very much of a potato culture in the back old days, and now we sort of started importing a lot of food. So we're getting more creative. We're trying to sort of test out a lot more.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing the onions in as well, getting that starting to sizzle. We want to make that just sit in there and see a bit of change in the color.
Yeah, and you can smell it.
Yeah.
With garlic and onions, everything smells good, right?
It does. So this is basically, that's the base for when you're cooking. And this is something, I had to ask my mom before I moved abroad to study. I basically taught her, I asked her to teach me some of her recipes, basically,
okay.
so I could at least feed myself. And this spaghetti bolognese is one of them, and this is sort of the first step towards it.
Yeah. And how long do you need to fry this, or when the color changes?
It depends a bit on the heat of the pan, but it shouldn't take more than about maybe a minute, 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure it gets a bit more golden brown.
Mm. Okay.
All right.
So we fry till it's a bit more golden brown before you okay.
Put the other stuff in.
Okay.
And then I think next up, I mean, there's a 1, 2, 3 step process to it, but I kind of get a bit creative. I do something which we call, well, it's a German phrase, but you can do it a bit on something called Gefühl. So there's like you feel your way forward.
Exactly. You just feel it.
Yeah, so you know how much salt you'll put it in. You just like bit by bit, you just try.
Yeah,
so
but that happens when you are very used to cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, people like me, we don't really cook. We need a recipe, and we need a step 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that's true. But I think you learn the basics. So this is the basic base. And then now you can start throwing in other stuff. So things I'll maybe cook for a bit longer will be these proteins. So the soy-based fake meat.
Fake meat.
Mock meat. Mock meats.
Yeah.
No, but I find it is actually important to not eat too much meat. Because when I speak to my grandparents, for example, that grew up in rural part of Norway, they would only eat meat once a week growing up. It's nothing natural for humans to eat meat every day, I find. It's a very modern phenomenon. Because now we have mass production of animals. Yes. In the old days, you used to have farm animals, but you only killed them on special occasions, you know? It's not something you could eat every day.
Okay, so it's only a special occasion. And it's not because it's like in the past people are poor, it's just more of like it's not a usual thing.
Yeah, so obviously like the availability and the cost has something to do with it. But also looking back, meat's very heavy to digest. It takes a lot of effort from your body to digest it. So if you need to give your body a bit of break to eat something that can be digested a bit more easily, because meat passes through very slowly. So things that have a lot of fiber is very good for your stomach will thank you.
Yes.
Then we can get the carrots in there as well, get them softened up a bit. And turn up the heat.
Turn up the heat when we put in the carrots. Yeah, because carrots are not so easy to cook.
No, some people prefer if you boil them first. But then you take a lot of the nutrients. Yeah. And then once you have them like this, you can just snack on it as well.
Yeah, right.
I find that you have to have fun while making food. Because especially as a student, when you don't have a lot of time, like you'll eat a bit like as you go along.
While you cook, you start eating your ingredients.
You have to make sure it tastes good.
Yeah. Okay. Now it looks good. Slowly adding in.
Exactly.
Can we just throw everything in? I mean, I'm asking because it's like, sometimes we really feel like it's easier.
Yeah.
Since it's all vegetables, can I just throw everything in?
I mean, technically you could. You just have to think that the more stuff you have in the pan, the slower it will cook.
Right.
So if you put things in one by one, it can cook easier. You give it more time to fully cook. Which is especially important if you have meat. But with vegetables, you can be a bit more relaxed. You can just pick what you need when you need it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put some more zucchini inside.
Yes.
Okay, just get it in there.
We can see more colors now.
Yes, and I think, is it the Koreans or something? I think in Korea they believe that. I was watching this Netflix documentary about some of the monasteries, where the monks, they say that when you eat the meal, every meal should have at least 5 colors.
Oh.
Which I always try to sort of stick to that rule, that you should have at least a few different colors on your plate. It shouldn't just be brown.
Or just boring.
Yeah. So colors is more lively. It feels better.
Yeah.
And then also it's very good to eat more variety because we kind of forget to eat with sort of a varied diet.
Yes.
And our guts especially like when we eat exposed it to different things, which is why when we just have meat and carbs, we feel very satisfied, and we can't then easily neglect the fruits and veg, which are important fibers and other vitamins and minerals that are needed to sustain us.
Yeah, I've heard this theory before about having different colors in food because the different color food has got different kinds of vitamins and nutrients, and that's why you have to do that. But I mean, but I think it's easy.
I'm no expert, but it could be true.
It could be true. I mean, I heard that before. I couldn't remember where I heard that from.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, disclaimer: I'm no professional chef, but I sort of just enjoy making food at home, and I find that I've learned if you learn a few basic ways of making like a few basic dishes, and you get comfortable with it, it can almost be like a way to relax because you know the process, and you can fail along the way, and you sort of become better.
Okay.
And then you just improve bit by bit.
Yeah. So you're using cooking to relax.
Yeah.
So do you cook when you feel stressed? Like is it during like your exam period you start cooking a lot?
Exactly. I find that when it's exam, I get very productive in the house. My room will never be more clean than a week before submissions.
Oh, wow.
Because I do this, I don't know, you can call it like productive procrastination. You feel productive because you're doing your laundry, you're cleaning your room, but it's not what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
The same with cooking. You know, but everyone's got to eat, so it's still, it has some value of importance.
Right.
You can't neglect that. Okay, so let's just get ready to throw the rest in, because it's very much a dish where you cut your stuff, you heat the pan, and you just throw everything in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go next with the tomatoes, for example.
Yes.
Get that in there.
And it all depends on the taste, right? How much you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can change the sort of the proportions of how much tomato you use. I really like tomatoes, so I'm just gonna throw a whole lot in there.
Right.
All right, and then now let's see. You start peppering it a little, maybe.
Pepper.
Get a little bit of seasoning in there. All right, and then let's see what else we need. And I think we're almost ready to add the sauce. Okay. And this is a ready-made sauce, tomato sauce that's ready-made with different spices. If you want to keep it very budget tip is to just get diced tomatoes and some tomato puree. And then you just mix those two together and you add oregano and different, dried basil, whatever. Then you get a lot of different flavors. So I'll just add that in there.
Whoa.
A lot. Okay. Then just stir those around.
So we'll throw in the sauce first before we throw in the oregano and the salt and everything.
Yeah, then you use this and then you can, because sometimes the sauce is sometimes pre-salted.
Oh, okay.
So unless you make it from scratch, you can add your extra salt and pepper and whatnot. Because sometimes it comes like already quite salty. So depends, then you get some control over how much salt you take in.
Yep.
All right, so that's looking good, good color.
Yep.
Okay, let's add a little bit of parsley. Just let that sit and simmer inside. I'm going to lower down the heat a little bit. It doesn't bubble too violently. Okay. Then tear it apart, the parsley, just to release some of the flavors. So you get that into the tomato sauce. You can take a little bit of the oregano, sprinkle it in.
Yep.
And then we were very clever and we pre-cooked the pasta. So that's ready to go. Normally I would sort of start cooking the pasta once I've cut everything and are ready to start frying my vegetables. I'll start cooking my pasta on a different plate.
Yeah.
And usually by the time the pasta is ready in like 8-10 minutes later, everything would have been fried up and you just get ready to serve it.
Yeah.
Which I think we pretty much can now because, let's see, let me just mix this a little bit. Do you want to get the plates ready and maybe...
Okay. So We should put the pasta into the plate first, or?
Yes, please. So
okay.
we put the...
All right. Now.
And then I told you the most important thing when you're cooking is to taste it as you go along.
Oh, okay. You have a good reason to start tasting it.
Yeah, because usually when you're cooking, you're hungry. And you don't want to be too hungry when you start eating, because then you'll overeat and stress eat.
Yeah.
So to avoid that, you sort of taste a little bit as you go along.
Okay.
And then you can find out if you want to add more salt, more pepper. This one needs a little bit more salt. Okay. Put a little bit more pepper in. And then I like to put a little of lemon juice always in my food because it just gives it a nice different taste. Usually you would put lemon or vinegar on meats and those kind of things to make the meat a bit softer.
Yep.
But it also gives it that nice acidity as well in the sauce. Okay. Just stir that in. Get all of those flavors mixed up. All right. And then I think we're ready to serve.
Okay.
Okay. Next plate. Thank you. But yeah, growing up, I always tried to help my parents in the kitchen as much as I could. In like up and down. I come from a very like small town in the south of Norway. It's mostly known for its sort of seafood.
Oh.
And unfortunately, it's also known for whaling and eating whale. Because the whale industry used to be quite big from there.
So have you tried whale?
I have, yeah.
It's a very traditional dish.
Not really. It's something you can buy in the supermarket. If you want. I don't really like it because it's beef. It tastes like beef. It's a piece of beef, but with a fishy taste.
Okay.
So it's not super tempting, I'd say. Okay. But it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think this one's ready. I can turn this off.
And we have... Oh, very important.
Very important. So if you now you can consider it vegan. But if you want to add some parmesan, which I feel is a must for my taste, I prefer it. You can add some cheese, just on top, and it makes a whole different experience. There we go. Yeah, let it snow.
Let it snow, yeah. Not let it go, let it snow.
And even a little bit of virgin olive oil can be very good because I used olive oil to cook. But virgin olive oil you can't use to cook because it has a very low temperature in terms of when it gets heated up. So that's why it can burn very easily if you try to cook with it. So, and it's very good to help sort of the pasta from sticking together too much.
Okay.
All right. All right, and there we go. The final product.
Yeah, so this is the vegetarian pasta. All right, now this is our vegetarian pasta.
Yay.
It looks good. Okay, this is the first time I'm tasting like mock meat with pasta.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
nice.
Right. Okay.
Thank you. Well, dig in. Enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Varsågod. How do you find it?
Oh, it's good. I think it's okay to try to put mock meats into pasta instead of using like the actual meat because it tastes actually the same. It actually tastes the same because it's like because it is just pieces of because when you're putting meat in it, it's usually minced and it's in little pieces. So I think we could also cut this mock meat into small little pieces, right? And mince it.
Yeah, all depends on what you prefer. So just play around, have fun with the dish, have fun cooking. That's what it's all about. Food is just about fun. Yes. Don't take it too seriously.
Okay, and that's it. This is our final dish, vegetarian pasta. And that's the end of our Chef's Kitchen for today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.